Kyalami last weekend, and we talked to off-road father and son, Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. Hi and welcome to RPM. I'm Hendrik Verwoerd. There was some fantastic racing at AA Kyalami last weekend, as we showed you in our program last Sunday. Today there's more, so stay with us. How do a father and son work together when they're off-road racing? Well, we'll find out when we speak to the Czepeks, but first, we're a week away from the Canadian Grand Prix, so let me remind you of our Formula 1 number, 231-2310. After 1 week, the Panama-Alaska Rally has moved from the start in Panama City to Acapulco in Mexico. The competitors, which include South African crews Frans Stangl and Stanley Illman in their 1970 Castrol Porsche 911, and Arthur Abraham and Graham Duxbury in a Castrol Ford Expedition, have now travelled through 7 countries and completed 4,347 kilometres out of a total of more than 15,000 kilometres. The Panama-Alaska Rally spends the next 3 days in Mexico, and we will update you next week on the progress of the event. Well, as I promised, in the studio today, defending special vehicle champions, father and son, Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. Hi guys, welcome to the studio.
Hi, Hendrik.
Franz Sr., can I call you that, Sr.?
Yeah, that's fine.
How did it come about?
Well, it came about in 1980. Until then, I was racing single-seaters, and lay off for about 13 years after that. Went into racing bikes instead because I won a lot of races around and it wasn't really that interesting anymore. And then my son was racing off-road bikes very successfully. Unfortunately, he had a bit of a mishap and damaged his back, so he had to have a backup. And we'd done a lot of things together in the past years, racing bikes and racing all sorts of things together. And I thought, well, maybe we should get back into racing cars because the cars looked a lot more exciting than they were before, and the multi-shocks and the fancy engines and big ground clearance, and the speeds were a lot faster. So I thought, well, maybe the two of us can get together because the car is not as dangerous as a motorbike, and possibly have a bit of fun on the off-road scene. We didn't really come in to be over-competitive or anything like that. We just came in for the fun and to see how it would go.
Franz, how was it the first time out with your father?
Well, first time out being in a car rather than in a bike, completely different experience. A lot of ways nicer, in other ways not as nice. Took a bit of getting used to, but we seem to have got it together now, and we're really enjoying the car scene.
What is the secret working together inside a vehicle while you're racing, father and son?
I think the big secret in the vehicle when you're racing together with somebody, it's always very difficult to get on with somebody because he's got different ideas to you or this or that. The most important thing is that you've got to consider the other person. You know, his life is always more valuable than your own, so you drive a little bit more careful. As in a single-seater, you wouldn't care. And I think this actually makes a big difference because you don't make as many mistakes because you drive at 1 or 2% slower. And the driving together with somebody, well, like my son, you know, we've done a lot of things together over the years, and we get on well. So in all the years we've raced together, we've never had one screaming match or one argument or one shouting. We get on very well. If we make a mistake, which happens, we laugh it off. And, you know, we've got our communication, and we make a good move, it's nice. You make a bad move, it's not so nice, but we get on very well together. And I must say, as a navigator, he's excellent. He's really very good, and we have a good time together.
And Franz, you've now also started driving the car in events this year.
Well, that's been something I've been looking forward to for a while. We raced 2 or 3 years, me doing the navigating and father doing the driving. But I've always wanted to become a driver as well. And this year I've started off, we're sharing the driving, really enjoying it, and seems to be working well.
And Franz, you've been very successful so far, of course, leading the championship and being the defending champions.
Yeah, we've been successful so far this year. We've done quite well since he started racing. As a matter of fact, the first race he's ever raced, he's won. The second race, unfortunately, we missed because of due to gearbox problems. But the second race we raced, we won it again. So he's won 2 races in a row, his first 2 races. Now I'm very proud of him. He's a little bit wild the first race and makes a few mistakes, especially when we change over. But he soon calms down, and I calm him down nicely. And he's done very well. In the second race he raced, I must say he was as smooth as anything. and there were no problems.
And Franz, coming up now is the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. Looking forward to that?
Yeah, looking forward to the Desert Race. Desert Race always one of the highlights of the season. Always enjoy the event. Be a nice event to do well in.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. All the best for the Toyota 1000 Desert Race next weekend. And don't go away. Right after this, highlights of second and third heat action of Total Super Series 97 last weekend at Kailami.